Yeah. I haven't seen you in a while. I never thought you'd be so wild. Things are moving way too fast. Why don't we slow down? Yeah. Moving just like we used to. Baby, it's time to let loose now. Step back, deep breaths now, before things get out of control. I hope you really like me. I want it to be you and me. I wanna give it all to you. I can show you if you stick around, yeah. All I need is one night.
Tonight we'll go a different way, you and me.
So my day has been one of the going solo one. I just wanted to be all by myself. Wanna be all by myself. Sometimes we all need that me time. Isn't selfish at all. It's like well lived by Omobola Steven, your friend, open and unimpeachable chick is on the show right now. Remember to catch up missed episodes on your Apple iTunes stores, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, iRadio, or Castbox. For a while now, I've been focusing on relationships and marriage. Why? Because it's absolutely necessary to look before you leap. And basically, this show is all about life, relationship, and the business side of things. A lot of love. Even if you're struggling in your marriage or relationships, you can still work things out. If you think you can, you will. So, how can you confirm your choice of marriage? Important topic, you say. This is what I'll be talking about today. I'll be right back. So, evaluating your relationship based on compatibility alone is neither conclusive nor a perfect mix of confirming how your relationship stands before God. A relationship between two people is rarely sustained by itself. Rather, it needs the approval of certain objective institutions, both internal and external, to examine and manifest its full potential. In choosing a marriage partner, you need to seek the consent of what I have termed the 3 P's of approval to confirm your choice. These are parental, pastoral, and inner peace. Next, let's look at the parental aspect of it. Now, I'm aware that there are volumes of literature which suggest that it is absolutely okay to ignore the warnings or opinions of your parents about your choice of partner, especially when you seem pretty convinced about the choice. These books may imply that your parents could not possibly have the knowledge about your partner like you do. It may even observe that your parents' lack of education or spirituality, if they are not believers, has robbed them of adequate knowledge or wisdom with which to direct you in this matter. These assumptions may, however, impede your future if you allow them to deprive you of seeking and obtaining the right approval. It is important that you obtain parental approval when seeking for a married partner. Really important. Though you may be old enough to make mature and responsible decisions, always try to involve your parents. Apart from all of the considerations, they have been around longer than you do, and therefore they have the experience that provides examples to either emulate or avoid. Secondly, their emotions are not blinding them to character flaws and hidden motives, as the case with you at this time. Consider their opinions as an indicative of God's will for you. Consider their opinion. In my recent research, I discovered that 70% of marriages that failed didn't have parental approval. You need to see your parents' objections for whatever reason as indication that there is something wrong with the relationship, which you may not see at the stage because of your emotional involvement. Some parents may object on the grounds of tribe, religion, or a particular professional preference. All this may not seem important given your academic back and social exposure, but there is a lot more to people than their tribes or the color of their skin. You will agree with me. This implies that any flimsy reason, such as described above, may be simply an indication that God may not want you in the particular relationships. Sometimes, your parents may give reasons that are illogical and petty. Even unreasonable but careful consideration in the light of patience will reveal the truth. Absolutely. Now, let me share with you a beautiful example on what I'm talking about. Sandra was 3 years ahead of me at the university. After graduation, she decided to marry her friend Felix, whom she regarded as a good Christian. You know what? She presented him as a choice to her parents who were not born again, but they were flatly against the relationship. But you know what? She went ahead to marry a charming Felix. After the wedding, Sandra realized that her husband was totally irresponsible as the husband and the father. He often hit her and he was very promiscuous. 5 children, and many years later, this woman at breaking point took her own life. Now that's awful. She left a note behind to explain how careless her husband had been in the marriage and how totally unbearable life had become for her. So, I do not want to exaggerate this matter at all. I should conclude by adding that it is wise, especially for a lady, not to get married into a family in which she isn't celebrated. Very important. If you're engaged without the consent of your in-laws, his family will not support you if there are problems with your partner, especially when you are estranged from your parents or they live far away. After that you've prayed, follow your conviction that your choice is the will of God. It's important to seek your partner's opinion or your partner's opinion. It is important to seek your pastor's opinion, if your parents are unrelenting. Your pastor's counsel will not be influenced by emotions or prejudices. It is also critical that he is an anointed man of God, spiritually ordained and sensitive to the Spirit of God. If he counsels you based on emotions without God's leadership, the consequences will be yours alone. And you don't want this consequence, do you? Not at all. Let's look at the pastoral aspect of it. Like your parents, your pastor is not supposed to choose your marriage partner. Yes, of course, but he is ordained to guide and lead you to make the best choice. If you work closely with God and you're sensitive to the Spirit, you will most likely get insight into the heart of God from your pastor's opinion of your Christ. A sincere man of God will not deceive you. He will not. If you've benefited from his sincerity over time, especially in other areas, you will be wise to take his counsel very seriously, for he may well be speaking the mind of God. This is, however, not denying that some pastors have been wrong in the past. Of course, sometimes some pastors have given wrong counsel in order to retain a member of the flock, usually where the member is a woman. The woman may have been a very active or financially committed person and as such be matched with a committed brother to keep everything in the house. Usually, such license end in fiasco in which both parties are sentenced to a life of misery, unhappiness, and unfulfillment. I'll be right back. Now, I want to give another example to buttress my point on why pastoral approval is important. Pastor Tim was honestly committed to his flock, Albert and Jennifer. He fervently prayed that he will not lose them to another church because they were so faithful and loyal. To facilitate his own prayer, Pastor Tim encouraged Albert to be engaged to Jennifer. Both were steadfast and faithful members in the church. Jennifer was an hardworking, pleasantly, gently disposed woman of God, but Albert honestly didn't like her at all. However, they got engaged based on the approval of the pastor, but they later realized they were highly unsuitable for each other. Unfortunately, as committed Christians, they could neither get a divorce nor be separated. So, they are living unfulfilled lives, silently blaming the pastor. Wow, that's so bad. Now, I want to talk about peace. When you lack peace about something or in a matter, it simply means lack of God's presence. It is a critical issue that must not be wavered at all. Now, not all relationships have the approval of God. I want you to know that. Many marriages have collapsed all because they believed that with time, things will become normal when they finally settle in the matrimony. But how wrong most of them were. Your lack of peace about your partner could signal danger ahead. It is now left for you to go on your feet and pray about it. Prayer is key. Sometimes your parental disagreement on your choice of partner could be one of the confirmation to your lack of inner peace. Who knows? I want to share another example with you. Belinda was a high school friend of mine. She met Donald while she was heading back home from a church fellowship. A few weeks later, they became friends, and in no soon time, he proposed to Belinda. Belinda was shocked as she had no deep emotional attachment for him. "He's not my type by all standards." That's what she says. She said, "He's not my type by all standards." But Donald would not give up on her. After a while, she consented to the proposal, but that was the biggest mistake she ever made. There were strange events that happened all through the courtship, and she began to feel uncomfortable and disquieted. One day, she called him and said she wasn't interested in the whole thing anymore, but Donald kept promising her all would be well. Besides, her mother never liked Donald. "His arrow scares me to the bones," she blurted while she was having a discussion with Belinda. She was always throwing tantrums around each time Belinda returns home with Donald. When she realized her effort wasn't yielding any positive results, she gave up. Belinda's mother gave up. Donald and Belinda, however, got married, but the marriage has been a nightmare. Nightmare. She let the God wind of Donald's irresponsible and occult mannerisms. He was a stark illiterate from a downtrodden family, and also is a night crawler. He had appeared as a Christian brother all through the courtship. How could Belinda be ignorant of the signs? How could she? Belinda suddenly became a miserable, distraught and frustrated woman. With 4 children, she had no option than to keep hoping for the best. She wished she had listened to her mother all along. Now that's so sad. When we met at a family function some time ago, she confessed to me on how she married Donald out of frustration with life. She was very helpless and needy of a father figure since the father had divorced the mother over 10 years ago. He was the only man who seemed ready for marriage, and since she had no option at that time, she gave in to the demands. Though she wanted to opt out at a point, but because they had slept with each other on several occasions, Donald was not going to let her go. He was determined to marry her because of what had happened between them. But really, her choice of married partner had paid way for unhappiness and lack of peace. American author Mary Ann Shelfer once said, "I don't want to be married just to be married. I can't think of anything lonelier than spending the rest of my life with someone I can't talk to, or worse, someone I can't be silent with." Marriage is a game of the mind, and a big deal if you must know. It's not for the immature mind. So you must be ready to weigh the pros and cons before settling with a partner. Like the saying goes, love may be blind, but marriage will open it. Marriage will open it. Absolutely.
All right. Yes.
All right, yes. And this way I'll be drawing the curtains for today's show. You can catch on missed episodes on my blog site, tomato2life.com, on all the major distributing channels, podcast added, listening notes, Apple iTunes, Castbox, iHeartRadio, and others. You can also subscribe to my YouTube page, Omobola Steven. Stay safe and have a good day ahead. Peace, y'all.
You've told me more than once to show you my intention. My brain gets blocked at times, but now somehow I'll give you my attention. You've got to know that I ain't a person who understands all the clockwork